everybody. You're listening to Escape This Planet in audio form, back with me and BMAT on our seasonal anime elimination nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
So this is technically episode 1, but we did have an episode 0 where we looked at all the source material we could find, looked through all the credits for all the anime we were going to watch, and basically we eliminated 5 anime already. If you want to find out what those are, you can just go on to the last episode to see that. But right now we still got 15 anime that made it to ground zero of what's going to be the first episode massacre here. This episode is not for the faint of heart. So the way this works, if me and BMAT pass an anime here, we have to watch it up to its 3rd episode. So the stakes are raised a little bit more, and then we get to decide from there. The first one, I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss, which is unsurprisingly a light novel adaptation. Female protagonist. I'm pretty sure this is geared more towards a female audience. You have this girl who reincarnates as a visual novel antagonist, and she is like in love with this video game, so she knows that she has some bad shit coming up for her, so she figures the only way to prevent herself from getting killed in some horrible way is to romantically win over the Demon King here.
Yeah, she has the resonant past life memories that she uses to get on the route and all that. Though surprisingly, a lot of that route narration that was in the manga did not make it to the anime.
I think as far as the plot goes, out of everything from the first episodes here, I think this is the one that played the manga to anime adaptation the most straight out of all of these.
Yeah, in terms of the sequencing of events and just kind of the beats, yeah, it was pretty much hit for hit.
To give the viewer an idea, I believe the first episode goes through the entire first volume, so
yeah,
that's the pace we're working with here. Though I think it's for the better, though, because there really isn't a lot of fun stuff happening in the first volume. There's also too many characters. In the first volume, what I thought, I was they introduced too many characters, but in the anime it kind of blasts past them, so it doesn't give you too much to have to hang on to.
Yeah, they kind of sprinkled them in. They just kind of made them, kind of impressionistic. There wasn't a lot of expanding on them. It was mostly about our female and male leads here.
If you're just going into this blind, is this way too fast to figure out what's even happening? Because there's a lot to digest right from the start. The whole reincarnation thing isn't super clear here. This is one of the harder ones for me to pass or reject here, because the thing is, I like the main protagonist, but she's the only character I like in this whole show.
Yeah.
I don't like anyone else.
There's not much to attach to. If we're excluding I guess the Demon King, all the other side characters sort of just exist, and they have this design, and they have this set personality, and they just sort of they are literally acting out their roles, which is sort of fitting, I guess, if this is a visual novel. But I don't even remember their names. And even with the Demon King, he's he's that hot brooding man character, right? He is also fitting a very visual novel character archetype, very much hit for hit. And it's yeah, it's would the characters break out of that, or would they just stay in their pigeonhole and sort of just act out? Because if it's all just relying on the main character to carry everything from the character perspective, that's not gonna last.
I can't pretend I know where this is going for the next 2 episodes. I'm completely clueless what they're gonna try and do, so I have no idea if I actually want to stick around and see what they're gonna try to do with this one.
Right, and because obviously the objective is her to win the Demon King over, because that's the whole if she stops him from becoming a fucking dragon and killing me, well, I'll live. And it's okay. It was some demon creature who's stuck in a bear trap, and she fended off those dudes who were shitting on her at the beginning, and the Demon King took her in a very ugly looking CGI chariot.
A very ugly CGI chariot.
So
oh
bad.
No! It's did you guys have to do this?
Oh man, it was oh my god! I I try to be lenient with anime CG because I know like there's going to be quality variation, but this like that had to be the ugliest CG I've seen. I think out of all of these.
I think in the upcoming episodes, she's inviting like the Demon King over to do something at like some ceremony. So you're gonna have like some setting that just has like a shitload of characters I just don't care about at all, and it feels a bit like overly brutal to like kick out anime that I'm just unsure about. But I'm failing this one.
Yeah, this was a reject. I knew as soon as I finished the first episode I wasn't gonna do this one.
I'm just gonna say this isn't like a hard reject, like instant fail, but I had to think about it.
No, I'd say it is a soft reject. I was pretty sure I was going to, but not because it particularly disliked it or like it didn't like rub me the wrong way. It just doesn't seem like something I really feel like watching for 11 more episodes.
Or 2 more episodes even. Yeah. So. Next one, we got Reincarnated as a Sword, which I gave a pass, B-Matt gave a fail, so I'm here to tell you all about how great the first episode of Tenkin was, which is, So the manga, I don't think the manga adaptation is bad. I think it knows how to hit the right parts of the story. It puts most of the focus on Fran, the cat girl, because the people who did the manga adaptation, they're very aware that, like, yes, you're reading this because you want to watch, like, the cat girl beat shit up. The anime does it differently. The anime is like, you're watching this because you like Tensura. You were watching this because you want to see the sword, bro.
Yeah!
So basically, almost the entire first episode is centered around the sword character, very similar to the first episodes of Tensura. Basically, how Tensura starts up is he reincarnates as a slime, as the name of the show leads you to believe. He like meets a dragon in a cave, and he's like just randomly farming by like swallowing up materials and building his skills up. In Tenken, though, the sword is really not important. Like, him dying is just completely glazed over. In the manga adaptation, it goes by the leveling up segment of the story very quickly because it knows that you don't actually care. But in the anime, it's showing him, like, taking down enemies one by one, gaining all the skills one by one, and then eventually you get to the part where the sword gets stuck in the mana draining soil or something, which is where he runs into Fran. Unfortunately, by the time Fran runs into the sword, you're about 16 minutes into the episode. There's a lot of gore, surprisingly, in the manga adaptation. They cut that out in the anime adaptation. In the manga adaptation, when the sword meets like the slave driver, he like chops his face in two. In the anime adaptation, he uses telekinesis to snap his neck instead, and it's like the most wet fart fucking climax of the episode. It's so bad. This is after an elongated scene where like this bear monster is like thrashing up all the slaves. It's like, oh, so you can like destroy the slaves, but you can't like show any gore for like the slave drivers, I guess.
That just like, it seems like such a weird change.
It made my jaw drop when I saw it. I was like, oh my god, I can't watch any more of this. I mean, like, here's the truth is I don't care about this cat girl. Like, I guess I understand it's like, oh, it's like a rise to the top kind of story, but I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't really care. The only way this would be able to keep momentum going is if they like throw new characters in, but as far as I got in the manga, I didn't hit any like new main characters, so I guess I'm just gonna pass on this one. It's a pretty rough starter episode, but I don't think the following 2 episodes will be that bad. But also, I, again, have the feeling of, like why would I want to watch more of this? My master has no tail. In the episode 0, this is the anime that we actually talked about for the longest amount of time.
Because, we talked in depth about our worries about the subtitles. We were worried about the way they were going to convey the information.
So, Yeah, basically all my fears came true. I had no idea what the fuck was happening for the whole like Rakugo segment. But at the end of the episode, they had their own segment where they explained the whole Rakugo story in Japanese. So like
Yeah.
even the Japanese people need like the supplemental stuff at the end, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, and they actually pulled that from the manga, the like Rakugo explanation segments. It's obvious that the mangaka who wrote this wanted to sort of convey the wonder of Rakugo. Like this is like I wouldn't call it educational, but I would say that clearly they wanted whoever was reading this and subsequently whoever's watching this anime now to like actually understand like where all these things are coming from, what the flavor of humor is in Rakugo's storytelling. It's obviously very traditional, it's very antiquated. It's not like a very modernized kind of performance. So obviously they wanted to convey that information. You know, the native Japanese person is probably going to still know more about Rakugo than, us, but yeah, they clearly really didn't know if their audience was going to be people who cared about Rakugo, so they just went for the safe bet. Yeah, it's a lot of puns. It's a verbal kind of performance. So obviously it relies a lot on the language. You've got your like props, yeah, historical references, like yeah, period piece kind of stuff. The characters are like very antiquated in that aspect, and there's a lot of like there's a lot of like prop sounds. There's like music going on in the background. They kind of like they're creating like an atmosphere. It's like a story, but it's also funny, but it's funny in like a Japanese way.
It centers around a Tanuki character who basically wants to trick humans, but she's kind of a novice, and then she ends up seeing this Rakugo performance artist named Bunko, and she gets completely like enveloped in the story, and she's like, "Whoa, this girl can trick people like a pro. They all love it. I want to learn how to do this too."
Yeah, and naturally Bunko's also not human. She's a kitsune. She rides around in like a ghost ship in the sky, which is kind of rad. It's pretty cool.
It is. I don't have anything against the characters in this one.
No, I liked the characters. You got your like spunky, kind of dumb, Tanuki protagonist who's like obviously like act first, think later. With the adaptation though, they were really kind of like they were going in for some sort of like expositionary stuff with her like past and her dad and stuff that I don't even remember from the manga. They were doing a bit more like setting the table first before she actually like went to Osaka and started the whole like beginning part of that. So I thought that was interesting. But like this was like someone wanted to make a story to talk about why Rakugo is cool. I mean, it's the same thing with like Maisetsu, right? Like I didn't think that was a particularly bad anime when I watched it. But like we don't get manzai, right? Like we don't get Japanese like duo comedy. Like we understand like the concept of like the straight man, right? And the fucking like goofy stupid guy. Like we get that because we do have Western comedy troupes that have done that. It does port over, but like their form of it is so Japanese. It's about Japanese wordplay. Anything about Japanese wordplay is just if your entire anime is about that, Western viewers are going to start fizzling out because they have no fucking clue what's going on, and that's just a consequence, right?
I feel like if you came to this from the other side where it's like you understand everything that's going on in this show, I feel like it would just be like a cute show. Like there's not really a whole lot to it. So it's like the payoff really isn't as like extravagant as I'd imagine it would be if you actually did understand everything.
You'd appreciate, I guess, the gusto of it, but yeah, you would just kind of be there for the character dynamics at that point and the way that it sort of unveils itself.
I think ultimately what this boils down to is that this is once again getting a soft fail. Gonna play the fail buzzer, but like slowed down with reverb added on because it's just gonna go over my head.
So I'm not going to talk about this next time, but I'll say for the record, I did pass it on the first episode. But like, as we're talking right now, 3 episodes of this have already aired, and I watched 3 episodes, and that was it. I'm not going to watch more than 3. Too much competition, I think. It kind of fell out.
Yeah, we still got a lot more. Like I said, first few shows are going to be rough. Here's the next one, which thank God it got an English title for me to read this time. Management of a fucking laughing at my own stupid joke I wrote down. Fucking god damn it. You failed it. All right, next one. Manager. It's even worse because she owns a shop.
No.
It's the Feed and Sneed shop.
Yeah, oh, yeah, the
God
fucking...
damn it.
Oh my god.
No.
No.
Okay. Management of a novel Alchemist. With our main protagonist Sarah Feed and Sneed with her shop. Formerly Chuck's shop, but it's now hers.
I can't. Yeah, if we had watched episode, with episode 2, I'm sure the sign will show up. I don't remember it being there at the end of the first episode, but
So what happens in this episode? She
goes to school.
Oh, that's right. Wait. She's an orphan, isn't she?
Yeah, because it starts with the gritty backstory where like parents die at the very beginning. It's just like she's an orphan now because her parents fucking died, and it's like all like grim and sad. And I'm like, okay, she was gonna get their shop, but then they got fucking killed.
She goes to school. She learns. She becomes a elite alchemist, and she beats the impossible quiz by saving all the skips.
That's true. He showed up with like all the skips unused. And they fucked up the test by putting the wrong thing in or whatever, and she figured it out, I guess. Is this like the most boring protagonist of the season?
Female protagonist, yes.
Yeah, she's just like...
there's nothing to this one. There's no hook to it.
No,
it's like, why?
There's no hook.
Why am I watching this?
There's no characters.
They don't like introduce any characters on the first episode either. So it's like, oh, now you gotta watch the next episode if you want to see the next ones. I'm like, but your protagonist sucks. If they're all this bad, I don't want to watch it.
There's like the whole thing where she's like, oh, I spent so much time studying at school, I couldn't make friends. I could only make friends with my weird mentor, I guess.
I completely forgot about that too. Like her whole backstory is just like, I'm the most pathetic elite alchemist.
I'm the saddest, most alone alchemist ever. But things are gonna change. I like go out to the rural countryside and remember what living means or something. I don't know.
Also, now is the optimal time to mention that VMAT already failed this and watched it anyways. It was originally just going to be me. So.
Right, because for the record, we talked about Concol Season 2, but the Concol Season 2 is airing weird, so I kind of felt like it wasn't fair to throw that one in because it's so off base. So I picked this one back up just to fail it again.
I'm putting in a super loud buzzer for the double fail. This
is a double whammy fail, and it's a hard fail. Oh my god, it's hard. And then they like bait you with the new character at the end, and she looks like barely different.
They don't get it. I almost thought she was the same character when I took a screenshot of her. I was like, wait a second. I was like, which character is this again? It ain't good.
No, these character designs are meatless. Just no drip, no brim, nothing.
Oh man, if you thought you heard us going off already, just wait till we get to the most epic anime this season from the wonderful studio that brought us Redo of Healer. It's Futoku no Guild.
Futoku no Guild. Oh.
We knew it was coming, and we got what we wanted, and now we're done with it. Put the tissue in the trash can. It's done.
There's something about this anime that looks like it aired online. There's something about the way it looks, like the flat colors, the weird, like almost like comic animation.
Yeah, the outlines are super thick.
Yeah, like everything about it. The weird, like, reused music jingles that happen, like, several times throughout the episode. There's something about this that feels like this shouldn't be airing on TV. It's not really up to snuff.
So, yeah, we did get the glorious uncensored version, which honestly, like,
made no difference.
There's really not that much going on in here anyways, like, especially if you already saw Redo of Healer. Like, there is not one thing in this fucking first episode that will, like, awake you from glazing over.
They literally blew their load in the first, like, 20 seconds of the episode. You have, like, the flash forward with like the whole party there, and they're all getting like molested.
Oh yeah, that's right. That happens literally in like the first 10 seconds of the
Yeah,
anime.
you get your one singular set of nipples on
The
screen.
rare 10-second drop.
You get your you get your nipple shot immediately, and then like there you go. It's uncensored, but then like the rest of it, I feel like they toned down everything else, which is weird. I even though it's still like the same bullshit. There was like a weird rebalancing where there was like certain things that were clearly more graphic in the manga that weren't in the anime, but they also like made everyone's boobs bigger. Like, can I just say that? Like, everyone's breast sizes went up like a couple sizes. Like, I feel like that was a deliberate design choice.
Size also
yeah,
increased.
they made the cat girl's ass like visibly huge. Like, they made some adjustments to the character balance for very obvious reasons here, considering what this anime is about and for.
It's supposed to be Kumar-core, but like you can't do this in an age where interspecies reviewers exist.
Yeah,
Like you can't cut it with this. We already got this shit.
It's over, man. Like interspecies reviewers like pulled back the wallpaper because like listen, we had an anime that was just about like dudes fucking monster girls. Like, how do you like walk that back now? Like
by doing the opposite. Monsters fucking normal people.
But it's like weirder because they're not like monster men or monster girls. They're just like animals.
Slimes. Like, okay.
You're weird like bears. Like, I don't know, something about bears. Fucking whoever wrote the manga like really like loved bear bestiality or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert, so don't ask me.
Yeah, I think the only compliment I gave this back then was that I liked the character designs, and that's it. And in the first episode, you only get the two girls. You get the dumbass martial artist, and then you get the mage. I don't know what.
Yeah, the healer.
It's like, here's your flat chest, just in case you don't like that one. Here's the other side of the spectrum. We didn't get the eyebrows girl yet.
Yeah, we didn't get like weird darkness.
Like we watched this because we were curious, but I think to anyone watching this who's like, oh, I'm curious about this, I mean, there's just nothing. There's just nothing. It's just a waste of time.
I wouldn't even recommend this to like Coomers. Like, you already have like.
No, you got way.
Once again, I
know where the good stuff's
I already
at.
Talked about like the real like, you know, like your Psycho no Quasar like depraved shit. Like you already got that to roll around in. You don't need this.
It's not even good for like a one and done curiosity watch. It's just like there's nothing to it. It's boring.
No, it was just like it was slow. It was so slow.
It's a hard fail either way.
Yeah, it's
extreme
a
hard fail.
There's a reason this one's
no chance in hell.
In the low ratings, not a good one.
So viewers, are you enjoying the epic fails so far? Because
when are we gonna pass something?
Good news, because we just got to do it yourself.
Well, as everyone who watched the first episode knows, I didn't have a lot of hope for this one.
You didn't?
Yeah, I was really pessimistic about this one. No, we have something real special here with Do It Yourself. Quite impressed.
We got a double pass on this one.
It's an instant pass. No, we don't need to keep you in suspense. This is an easy one. We only got like the first handful of characters in this cast in the first episode, but still so much impact. I really love the way they're kind of factoring in personality types and of characters that I don't feel like I see a lot of, or like played straight in a lot of modern anime. We got the main character who is named Yua Seruf, which of course the anime is very self-aware about. Everyone seems to just accept that our main character is named Yourself, and they find that very amusing.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so, and I want to know what her mom's name is, because it's gonna be Myself, isn't it? Fucking god, it is absolutely. They haven't revealed it yet, but I feel like there's gonna be. They're gonna drop like a big gag on it. But you know, we got like your like classic like sort of like Genki, but like low energy Genki, like lackadaisical, no worries, but still like completely blunders into trouble character. You know, they had that like cute like sort of like paper segment where like she like cuts herself with the box cutter and like her hand like fucking rips open, but it's like paper.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I loved that shit. I thought that was so good. It was like childishly graphic without actually being graphic, but it was like a very good visual sort of deal to show how fucking clumsy and ridiculous she is.
She's got them band-aids for a reason.
Yeah, I love that she has the band-aids and they change a lot. I love that she like goes to the fucking nurse every day and that the nurse is like the advisor. She's a great main character, just like very charming,
Especially
very
for
fun.
this kind of show.
Yeah, very much has that like carefree energy to it. You know, it does channel that sort of your camp deal too in that respect. When you think about Nadeshiko, right? Like, kind of have that similar sort of like carefree nature to the character, except in this.
Oh yeah.
Except in this case, obviously, she's kind of like a walking accident waiting to happen. I really like her like childhood friend.
Oh yeah.
Because she is like you just don't see these like traditional tsundere characters much in anime anymore. They play them way differently now. You don't see them like you saw them back in like the tsundere boom of like the 2000s. But with Miku here, like she's always in it, right? Like she's like Yua's just like kind of like being like happy and nice and just sort of chilling, and she's like angry and like pissed off because she's going to a different school. She's not going to the same school as her. She's like watching her out the window all the time and like fucking like
yeah, because their schools are like right inside of each other.
Yeah, and that just like that goes and goes well with another point I wanted to talk about, which is one of the things I was really surprised about, and it was like the very like near futuristic nature of the setting. We've got like drone infrastructure. We've got like a technocratic like sort of like building structures. And then yeah, you've got like the old traditional girls' school that Yua's going to. That's like very small and quaint and has that like yard area where the the DIY club shed is. And then you have this big like futuristic school. It's like gigantic and huge and like it has face scanners. It's got the leading technology. It's got like biometrics and shit. And it's just built around the other school. Like it's kind of just like swallowing it. But it's a good juxtaposition because it's like Yua's living in this like DIY woodworking like old tech, not like she's living in that like dusty era where it's like it's just your hands and your tools and your materials and you're just building shit. You're grinding your elbows down while her childhood friend is like trying to learn how to use a 3D printer, and she's like,
yeah, I love the contrast when they show Yua coming home and like her mom is like, oh, you want to take a bath, and then like it shows Miku coming home and it's a robot that rolls up to her like preparing shower.
Yeah, she's got the fucking robot. Like
the design of the show is so genius, like every little bit of it.
It's
like
great.
The looks, the way they like contrast all these characters and like their houses, where they live, where they go to school.
Yeah, there's another thing I love is how Yua, like, she rides her bike to school, but Miku gets on like a futuristic bus and shit, like that kind of stuff.
It was Ray, right? He was riding like a Segway to school or something like that. She's got weird like rollerblade, future rollerblade kind of things going on.
Yeah, she's got like rollies where they have some like weird force to them where she can kind of just like project herself.
I love the little interaction that she has with Yua, where Yua's bike is like it got a little mangled up because of course Yua is very clumsy. I think she like rode right into a telephone pole.
Yeah, the telephone pole. She had that classic like bonk like sound effect and everything. It was very vintage.
Right. So Ray shows up and sees like the busted bike, and then she just like fixes it and then just immediately leaves. Like it was just an instinct of hers, like, oh, broken thing, I must fix this now, because she's the DIY member.
Yeah, she is the club. When Yua runs into her to thank her for fixing the bike, like she is the only one. Like that rundown shed, the DIY club sign is like completely faded and gone, and obviously no one's in the club, and everyone thinks Ray is like this like weird freak who will like hit you with a hammer, when she's just like a sort of like socially awkward DIY girl who just hangs out in her funny shed.
So Yua shows up and tries to give the whole the whole power tools thing a shot, and as you can see in the screenshot here, this is about how well that one ended up going.
Yeah.
But she's got her thumb up, so it's all good.
Yeah, you was used to this. She tried to power drill a screw, but it went wrong, and then she, stumbled into a bunch of lumber and then just kind of took it. I think her bones grew very resilient very quickly through constant hardship.
Just in time to join the do-it-yourself club.
Oh man, yep, just in time to cause more problems.
It's pretty brilliant based off of the first episode, so
yeah,
can't go wrong with a couple more.
I'm in on it. I really like it. I think it looks great. It's so colorful and playful and pleasant to look at. It just has so many good dynamics. It's such a unique looking and feeling show.
Next one is Akiba Maid Sensou. So this one was I wasn't expecting this one to be very crazy at all. I was like, I mean, it's PA works. I mean, they're kind of hit or miss. They don't really do anything that crazy. Holy God.
There were a lot of variables, right? Like, we knew it was going to be a quote-unquote a mature maid cafe anime, which could have meant anything.
And they made sure to hide, like, every possible interesting thing. They hid it from all of the preview trailers.
They did. There was so much misdirection in the preview trailer. They were, like, censoring things that I don't even think were actually, like censor-worthy. I think they were just, like, throwing them in to make you think, like, what is that gonna be? Why are they censoring it? We had a scriptwriter that literally has never done anything else.
He has no credits at all.
Completely fresh writing that there's like no precedence to go off of. So it was like, okay, well,
where did they get this man?
I knew it was PA Works. I felt like I knew what to expect from PA Works in terms of their original anime output, considering that I've watched quite a few of them.
Charlotte, your favorite.
Funnily enough, I think the character designer on this anime did the character designs for Kami-sama Ninatahi.
Oh, your other favorite.
So thankfully, it looks like his character designs his powers have been used for good here.
Yeah, we got some good character designs in this one. I love Tencho.
Yeah, Tencho's great. I knew I was gonna like her a lot just from the preview. She looked like she had that kind of like sleazy boss who tries to worm her way out of any like problem personality, and that is exactly what I got out of her. I mean, like the cast personality balance here is like perfect. I feel like they're hitting all the edges here.
They nailed it. Yeah.
You got your wholesome like truly pure and innocent main character. You got your 35-year-olds like tough as nails like MILF lady.
Supposedly a veteran of the Maid War that is spoken of going by this first episode.
Yeah, and then of course you get like your cute twin tails like number one maid girl is obviously like she's a bit of a hard ass in reality. And then you got the Gyaru, right? You got your Gyaru.
Why not?
Can't go wrong. They're playing it straight Gyaru on her, and that's good. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And then yeah, of course you have Tencho, and then you have the panda, who is very like mysterious. There's someone in the panda suit, I think, but they're very like I think like in the opening, right? Like you see their face, but it's like blurred out. It's like all scratched out. There's like a scratch out effect, so you can't actually see what they look like.
This first episode leaves you guessing.
I mean,
many times.
They do not wait at all to pull the curtain.
I mean, immediately, right at the beginning, it's like a cinematic opener. Someone gets fucking shot and killed.
You get your, like, mafia opener. Like, you get your drive-by, like, Tommy guns blaring kind of opener. Like, I thought there was gonna be a shtick to this, but yeah, then they just, like, they just shot some bitch to death, and I was like, what? And then like, the opening,
damn.
Then the opening clicked in, and I'm like, oh, they are doing this. This is a war. Like, they weren't lying about it. This is like maid mafia shit. You have your like maid families. You have your like maid turf wars. You've got like them sending in like a maid to fucking do like a fucking like cleanup, like fucking kill everyone, like type shit. You got your like extortion rackets. Like, oh my god.
And yeah, so you have your main character who's like super innocent. She's like, oh, I want to be a cute maid at Akihabara. And so she's completely unaware of like all of this.
No, she has no idea.
When she gets into it.
She truly is like the viewer. Like, she doesn't know what she's getting into. And we only sort of know because of the intro, but like by the time you're getting into her story, you're like, oh my god, how is that going to factor into what happens next? The build-up is so fucking good in the episode too, because of course, like, you get her joining, and you already know something's up.
You know something's coming, like, you don't know what.
First you get Ronco's, like, the 35-year-old, like, vet, who, like, clearly, like, she's here for a reason and something's up. And then you get, like, them talking about, like, they keep losing workers mysteriously, and it's like, oh, okay, what's up with that? And, like, a bunch of very suggestive conversations. And you get all that to build up, and then, of course, I fucking love that you have this, like traditional, like, Akihabara, like, dude with, like, the fucking, like, poster backpack and shit. And he's got, like, his goods, and he's coming in here, like, fucking bullying Tencho and, like, making her try to, like, shit an egg out or something. I don't know what the hell she was trying to do in that scene, by the way. I think she does a lot of degrading things to not get capped for being in debt, I guess. But she very shamelessly tries to send our main character to deliver a letter alone. But good old Ronco doesn't let her go alone, and we find out very quickly why.
Their own little maid stores, like, pig themed. Why not?
It's that classic Maid cafe thematics, right? There's always, like, a gimmick.
They end up sending them to the rabbit cafe.
Yeah, the Pion like cafe. Where they're wearing the rabbit ears, and, like, they walk in, and, like, some girl is, like, fucking begging for her life, but all they're doing is, like, cutting off one of her, like, twin tails. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like,
Can I just say that the voice acting is so good? Like, everyone, like, sells it
adequately over the top.
Yeah, like, they're like just the fucking, like, them, like, holding a knife to her fucking hair, and her, like, screaming, like, blood curdling, like, I'm about to die, like, crying and sobbing and begging for her life, and all they're doing is just cutting one of her fucking twin tails off. That is so funny to me.
Nagami, who is completely unaware of what's really happening, hands the letter over, which turns out to basically just say, fuck you.
Yeah, it's a middle finger, and it's a sort of don't kill the messenger situation, except this is the fucking Maid Cafe Mafia, so they absolutely are going to try to kill the messenger. But we find out that Ronco is a veteran in more ways than one. Very quickly, and I think one of the most insane sequences I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. The fucking shootout sequence with the fucking, like, idol, like Maid idol song going on in the background with, like, the cutaways. Oh my god, man. What was that?
First, Ronco pulls out a trusty pistol and just shoots this woman dead, and then, as seen in the screenshot, and a comical amount of blood pours out from her head onto the main character's apron here.
Yeah, it does that, and then it goes away, and then it shoots more blood at her right immediately after. Like, they were really pushing it there.
Very silly.
Then you're still like, well, yeah, they really did just fucking shoot her right in the head, didn't they? Oh, it is just, like, it was nuts, man. I was, like, laughing my ass off during that entire sequence. I was just like,
what the fuck?
I could not believe what I was seeing. Like, I was blown away. Like,
it's so fucking bonkers on episode 1.
They really brought the fucking big guns out early. Like,
there's some shows where it's like, yeah, they blew their load on episode 1. This one is like, I'm scared of what's gonna come in the later episodes. Like, what the fuck?
Just, like, at the end, and Nagami's just, like, absolutely traumatized, but, like, also just sort of, like, numb to it, and just has to, like, accept that this is the life she's chosen now. I couldn't believe it. This is definitely one of the biggest surprises I've ever seen from an anime first episode, and especially this season. I mean, goddamn. It is a pass. I want to know what they're hauling with these next episodes.
So there's only a couple anime I've actually been seeing people talk about from this season.
Right.
And one of them is the one we're going to talk about now, which is Bocchi the Rock.
Bocchi the Rock.
This one's getting spread around.
It is. And, yeah, there's a surprisingly positive reception to it. Bocchi, man, I was interested to see how this was going to play out from a first episode perspective. I'd read the first couple volumes, and
And a really strange sense of humor to it.
I felt like a lot of how the adaptation was going to have to like really prove itself is how it translated that humor, and I think it did a really good job. I think a lot of the visual gags really come out very well in the anime. There's a lot of like very clever use of like camera and perspective that I wasn't expecting. The one I always think about is later in the episode where she's in the backstage with Nijika and Rio, and they're trying to convince her to go out on stage before she agrees to go out in the box. And it has this like very like it's like a film, like it's like a kind of camera angle you would see in like a film. Like the perspective is so almost like deranged, I guess. Like she's having like her like a mental moment, like trying to work up to going out on stage, and like there's like it's like a very like crushed, like almost like warped perspective. A lot of interesting like subtle visual cues and like very interesting like ways they decided to convey the humor in a visual sense. It really stood out from its source material in that way. I really like the backgrounds. They're not like photorealistic enough to look like actual reality, but they have this like very semi-realistic quality to them. And I like that the character designs and the characters themselves, in contrast, are very almost like simplistic. You have these sort of like semi-complex photorealistic type backgrounds, and you have this like very simple characters on top of it, and that kind of contrast looks really good. There is so much good framing with the characters and the backgrounds together, especially in like in Starry in the you know like the dive that they perform in that venue. Like there's like a lot of like weird kind of like metallic stuff on the walls and a lot of like decorative kind of you know things going on in the rooms and stuff, and they contrast very well with the characters. They took more subtle approaches to having the visual style look very unique, and even though a lot of the animation is very simplistic in contrast.
It is a music anime. It's about a girl who's named Hitori. She has trouble making friends, and she's the most sad, pathetic girl in the entire universe. But she does have a YouTube account where she does like guitar covers of music, and she gets them views, and enough so that some of the people at her school know her YouTube channel, but they don't actually know her in real life.
That's her only form of notoriety is on the internet, where she can sort of not exist as like a username and not, you know, as an actual person. Yeah, we got our weird, socially awkward and kind of mentally stunted protagonist here.
She just starts carrying her guitar around with her because she's like, maybe somebody will talk to me. And in fairness, it works. We got a drummer come up to Hitori and be like, yo, you play guitar? Come play in our band?
Yeah, and it's because their guitarist ditched, and they needed anyone, I guess. So instead of having no one to play, she just found the first person with a guitar, and it just happened to be our socially maladjusted little freak here. I really like Hitori because her mindset is really corrupt. Like I made the
deep down under.
Yeah, I made the Hitori Bocchi Seikatsu, you know, Marumaru Seikatsu comparisons. But that Hitori was very like pure in her social awkwardness. This is like Bocchi wants notoriety. She wants attention. She wants to be liked. She's just terrible at it. She's terrible at being socially adjusted. She's just very like horrible around people. She's truly suffering inside because she wants something, but to get that something, she has to learn to be social, which she's clearly very bad at.
So then she does get in the band, but when she plays with them for the first time, it turns out she has no idea how to stay in sync with the rest of the band because she's so used to just playing off of audio recordings that the idea of like keeping up with the other people's tempo is just completely lost to her. So they're like, Hitori, you suck, which is funny. Once the band does their performance, Hitori tries to get over her anxiety by literally just hiding in a big cardboard box while she plays, which is hilarious.
Yeah, she's got a little viewport inside the box so that she can sort of see, but not really. You know, she goes out there in the box. You got to give her credit. She does try. I'm impressed that she could play anything in there. But then again, the whole reason she can even play on the box is she plays like in her tiny little closet when she's like recording and stuff. So like she's used to like crouching in her little
That's her
cubby hole.
zone.
Yeah, her zone is like tiny cramped space that's big enough to like fit a guitar in. So the box is like porting her like safe space in from her room into the stage.
The pacing of this anime is good.
It is good. I feel like it's really on the ball because it feels like it really is not too slow or too fast. I feel like they're really going at the right pace.
What I meant to say is that they didn't like introduce everybody immediately, which I think is for the better.
Yeah, no, we just got her, Nijika, Ryo.
They don't do any of the bartender stuff yet.
No. They went through like her sort of a little backstory. They went through her trying to get noticed, and then how that leads to her meeting Nijika, and then them going to the venue for the first time. And yeah, I thought that was all good. I felt like they really gave the character dynamics and chemistry time to breathe, and like they feel like very like normal. Like it feels like there's a good tempo to the character conversations and the humor. It doesn't really like rush into anything. It kind of takes its own pace. It allowed them to do more creative things with those scenes, and they took a lot of liberties with that, and I thought pretty much all of them were for the better.
I mean, I guess that's enough probably for a pass from BMAT, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'd pass it.
I want this show to succeed, and I'm hearing people saying good stuff about it, but I'm watching this, and I felt the same when I was reading the manga, where I'm like, I don't think this is my kind of thing at all. I'd feel really bad failing this, especially on fucking episode 1, but I feel like the style of humor, the kind of characters it has, I'm giving it the softest possible fail because I know this one is not for me at all.
It's like the pat on the shoulder fail.
There's basically no music anime that I'm into either, like music-censored anime. I'm not really into the self-deprecating humor. I'm not really into either. So it's like I might as well just let it go instead of like forcing myself to like shovel through more of it and then saying the same thing 2 episodes later. I think it's got the quality to hold itself up.
Yeah, Bocchi definitely has some momentum in the season right now, so definitely one of the underdogs going forward here.
And now for one that I did not even watch at all. This is the one that only BMAT watched. Blue Lock, very popular one, this one.
Yeah, it's a sports anime, so naturally there's gonna be some pull. Yeah, and the manga was clearly already very popular prior to the airing. I wanted to give something I usually do not try to give a chance. I gave Blue Lock the manga, preview, and I did like the stylization of it. I liked kind of the overtopness of its concept. I sort of got down with that intensity and then what it was trying to do, and I saw the appeal in it. So I did want to try to give the anime a fair shake and see how it shakes out. It's another one where I felt like it did play itself pretty straight in terms of the adaptation of the material. There's not a lot of curveballs. I don't think there was like any anime original scenes. I think it was all pretty much exactly how I remember it from reading the manga chapters I read of the first volume. It is very faithful. They tried to recreate that kind of like thick line, intense style, very expressive. It's like whatever they're doing with like Mario Strikers shit, right? Like the sharp, like edgy, like lines. Everything has like impact. Everything has like there's so much punch to it, right? There's so much edge to it. The characters were pretty much how I remembered them. I felt like the voice cast is pretty solid, and it looked decent for 8-bit from what I come to sort of expect quality wise from them. I thought it was pretty decent. Not like spectacularly good looking, but still it does have some of that expressiveness and impact that the manga art style had. I got to the end of it, and it covers like not all of the first volume. I think it covers. They get to the facility. Blue Lock is about a plan by I think the Japanese government, some branch of the Japanese government, to create a perfect striker, which is a sort of a soccer position, to go to the World Cup and win the World Cup. So there's this whole thing about how strikers are like the best players in soccer, and they're the ones who will like win. It kind of takes that concept and brings it to the extreme. So they work with this guy whose name is literally Ego. His name is Jinpachi Ego is how you'd pronounce it, but The striker position is supposed to be like an egotistical position. It's supposed to be like I'm gonna get the shot, I'm gonna get the score, I'm gonna win it all kind of. Oh, the Japanese players, you're too humble. You're too focused on teamwork. We got to make the most egotistical soccer player on the planet. So to do this, they invited 300 star soccer players from the country to a facility called Blue Lock. And if they agree to participate in the program, they have to basically live there and go through this regimen that also involves these like elimination like trials. And of course, the goal is for there to be one last person left standing to be the ultimate striker of all time. So, naturally, this involves a lot of like psychological warfare and cutthroat soccer madness. Naturally, our protagonist starts at like the bottom, basically. I think he's not like dead last ranking, but he's like number 299 of 300, so he's basically at the bottom. And there's this guy at the very beginning. He plays this soccer match for his team, and he passes it to his teammate to take the goal, which would have allowed them to stay in the game. And of course, his teammate totally whiffs it. He misses the goal, so they lose. And
Nice.
The star player of the other team ends up showing up at the Blue Lock facility, and in the first trial, there's this big, Mr. Ego comes out and, kind of goads them into doing it, because he's kind of like a maniac. Not very empathetic kind of dude who will do anything to get, the best player ever. He's like the fucking... he's like the J.K. Simmons Whiplash type character, where he'll do anything and everything to produce the best quality talent possible, even if it's, borderline unethical. He kind of goads everyone into doing it. And it starts with this basically this game of soccer tag, where it's whoever's it has to hit someone with the soccer ball, and if they get hit, they become it, and they have to keep going, and they only have 2 minutes. And it's it's very intense, 2-minute standoff. They all get grouped, and he, of course, since he's at the bottom, he's in Z group. So one of them has to leave. The dude who's in last place is he's some sort of shrine monk or something, but he doesn't want to go back to being one. He wants to be a cool soccer dude. It ends up with the main character naturally being it in the last seconds of the match. Gotta create that tension. And the star player who he played against in that match at the beginning is there. It comes down to him doing this very instinctual thing where someone hits the ball against him. He does a very wacky thing and hits it. And of course, it hits the other star player dude in the face with 1 second remaining. He's gone, and he's not very happy about it. One of those sort of semi-nice characters suddenly becomes a fucking psycho.
And so, is that good enough to warrant a pass?
No, it's not.
Goodbye, Blue Lock.
I think it just more or less reinforced that that kind of thing just doesn't really appeal to me. It's the uber competitive, egotistical. I get the appeal of that, and I get it's kind of a cutthroat, almost battle royale-esque kind of deal going on, and I could appreciate that from a distance. But thinking about the long term, watching something like that, at some point I'd probably just check out. So I feel it'd be best to just not even try to go further than the first episode, because. Yeah, this is the chance I wanted to give it, and I think this is about all I really want to give it at all. So,
more than a married couple, but not lovers, which is, or as I've been referring to it as, the Gyaru anime, which I was hyping this up on episode 0 because I thought the manga was pretty solid. I was like, oh, this is a cute show. I like the characters. I like the dynamics between them. And then you get to the anime adaptation, and the script writing is... I don't know what happened, but they screwed it up, man. This is just a screwed up adaptation. I'm not really picky with visuals or anything like that. Well, that's whatever.
Yeah, it looked okay. It was maybe better than average, but not
the way they
better.
wrote the scenes and the way they wrote the characters in here, very different, and not in a good way from the original source, because they made our main character here, Jiro, they made him a complete fucking loser in the anime.
Yeah.
What did they do to him? he's not that. He's really not pathetic in the manga. Like, why did they do this to him?
Yeah, they really they overbalanced his character profile in the other direction because like yeah they established that he's like not quite high on the social ladder and that like yeah he hangs out with his like nerd friend all the time.
But he was supposed to be more adjusted than like his friend. But in the anime adaptation, it's like the other way around. Like he's even worse off than like his loser nerd friend.
But yeah, I thought that was funny too. It like completely swapped hands, which is just very weird because yeah, like his nerd friend was supposed to be like the contrast. Like I remember from the manga like when like the kiss scene happens, his nerd friend's just outside the door being like, "What's fucking taking you so long? I want to go buy fucking posters and shit." And it's just like, and like the juxtaposition of that is very clear on the dynamics, where his friend is just like straight up like socially low on the food chain nerd, and he's just like slightly more well adjusted, but still their interests align. But no, they just kind of pushed him across the spectrum and threw him over to being like yeah like a fucking loser.
So I guess to explain what this show is, I mean, I don't think the premise is really the selling point of this one because it's kind of dumb. Their school has a really weird class where they have to pretend to be married to like a randomly selected classmate of the opposite sex, and they have to live in like the same place. They have separate rooms. They have like a camera thing watching them that like grades their compatibility, and it gives them points when they do nice things, and it reduces points when they're like bitching at each other and stuff. Our main character has this girl named Shiori that he wants to be with. He's like, oh man, I hope I'm with her. She's the childhood friend. She's the sweetheart. She's very similar to like Onodera from Nisekoi. It's like the same kind of character. And then you have the Gyaru, which Akari, which he doesn't like her at all. He's like, oh, she's so showy and obnoxious. So, and then she wants to be with the Chad dude. But yeah, so the Gyaru wants to be with Minami. So obviously they end up being in swapped positions. The main character ends up with the Gyaru. The childhood friends end up with the Chad. So multiple times our main character Jiro is thinking about, oh man, I wonder what they're doing right now. Like every time he sees them, and it's like, what the fuck? Like he didn't do that in the manga, at least not to like
no,
that degree.
there was like one scene I remember him doing that in, and it's like they took that scene but like triplicated it. And then they added that like oh that's right, ex Zebek people are working on this anime like fan service esque, like they added like the fucking like porno mist and fucking like the darkened pink tincture and like her, you know, they made it more fan servicey, you know, fucking implied sexual shit going on.
But the thing about the manga that made it so good was they had these like little cute moments between Jiro and the Gyaru just like chilling out next to each other, or just these random like more mature moments with each other, or like they have the kissing scene in episode 1 where it's like she wants him to kiss her on the cheek before he leaves, and he ends up just full on kissing her on the mouth. Of course, in the anime though, they decide to show this from like her back, and they don't show their lips touching at all.
Yeah, it's weird kiss censorship going on.
So it like shows her the same shot of her back for a full like 5 seconds or something.
Yeah, it's like I remember that. It's not even, like there's no like frame difference at all. It's just like a still shot.
It's like, what the fuck are these guys doing?
It's like they forgot to put the kiss in. Like it's supposed to be there, but they accidentally put the one frame in there.
The way the scenes transition.
Oh my god.
Between each other are so jumpy. It's like I feel like they were trying to make this anime more like Nisekoi.
That's what stood out to me. Yeah.
In spirit, the manga was like it had similarities to Nisekoi, like how they don't want to be with each other originally, but they warm up to each other, and then they have like the cameras pointing at them and judging them. But I think when they did the adaptation, they were like, well, we want it to be more similar, so we're going to have the same kind of like jumpy scenes where we jump from scene to scene, where if it seemed like it was a lot more fluid in the manga.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't like it wasn't jumping all over the place. And
the scene transitions in this were just so fucking rough. They were weird. It didn't feel like they really transitioned. It just sort of, you were suddenly in a new scene. Like it just like there was no like cohesion. It just like it just kind of kept getting like tossed around.
But yeah, it's like it's not supposed to be written like Nisekoi, because Nisekoi is written with like gags and punchlines. So of course, like when it jumps from scene to scene, it works there. But here, the story is written out so it's supposed to be more fluid. Like you can't just snap and act like the end of the scene is like a punchline or something. It just doesn't work at all. It has no flow to it. It's sad because I was hyping this up. I was like, this is gonna be like this could be like one of the best romance anime out there, and then I just get slapped in the face on episode 1 like, oh my god, no.
Yeah, it's like
no.
I was trying to give the scriptwriter credit when I originally wrote my preview for this, by pointing out that he wrote Spice and Wolf, the script for Spice and Wolf, the anime. But this is also the guy who wrote Yosuga no Sora. This is also the guy who wrote
my favorite
Upote.
So he's got some hits and misses, and this is not a hit
this is a
here.
miss. This is a misserino.
It sucks because it's like stories, they only get one shot at an adaptation, and it's just like, nope, that's the end of that. Go read the manga, folks.
Yeah, the show's over.
That sucks. So obviously it's a pass, because I have to see. No, it's a fucking fail.
Yeah,
Get this shit out.
that's a fail. I was generally just pretty underwhelmed with it all around. So.
I was so sad. I wanted it to be good, bros. I can't take this.
Not like this.
Speaking of things we can't take, how about something we can't watch? Because it's fucking... Yeah, Cool Doji Danshi didn't get translated into English.
Well, I want to talk about this a little bit, because this is...
Actually, we're not going to talk about how Cool Doji Danshi didn't get translated, because guess what? One day after recording this, it did get translated. Me and BMAT both failed this. And to summarize my thoughts, I thought it was decent, I thought it was cute, but I realized I just didn't have enough interest in cute anime boys to make me watch the rest of this season, so I just failed it here. And now on to future BMAT for the hot future BMAT take on Cool Doji Danshi.
I don't have really in-depth thoughts on this one. It is very simplistic. I mean, the source material is too. You got these kind of cool, hip-looking guys, college age, just kind of, doing their daily routines, and every once in a while they just do this, like, sort of clumsy, silly thing, or they have, like, a misconception about something. It's about the humor in them sort of trying to play it off, play off the little mistake they made to sort of recover from that. It's this endearing little show. It's not really a comedy in the sense of like a laugh comedy, I guess. The jokes really don't exist to make you like laugh particularly. They're more to kind of make you go, "Aw," like an adorable little puppy. I don't have like any complaints about it really. Like I feel like it looks nice. It's got a nice presentation. It has that like simplistic art style with the nice little backgrounds. I felt like that looked, there was some good balance. It was very colorful, and the designs are nice. The character designs, they're very pleasant to look at. I mean, overall, it fits the source material. It does justice to the source material that it is covering. The deciding factor of whether or not you would want to watch this all the way through is just whether or not the concept, seems like something you would want to experience for a full season. And for me, it's not. For people who this concept is really appealing to, I feel like you're going to enjoy it. I feel like you will find a lot here to take away every week. I feel like it's going to be an easy one to win you over if this concept from like its basest synopsis, cool boys kind of making mistakes and playing it off in that like cutesy boy kind of way. I think that you're going to get a lot out of this. It's just not the kind of thing I see myself watching all the way through, because if I did, I probably wouldn't remember a lot about it. So even though I'm going to fail this one, if it appeals to you, definitely give it a shot. Then.
It's one thing to get completely shocked by the quality of one anime, which would be Akiba, Maid, Sensou. But then it's another to have two of those in the same season, and that's where Renai Flops comes into play. Because once again, I was stunned by another first episode performance here, which... B-Man was definitely saying there was going to be some wacky shit in this, and boy, was there.
Renai Flops is is a fishing line. It is a fishing line of epic proportions.
We both took the bait, like willingly took the bait immediately.
Yeah, it is truly how far do you want to keep taking the bait.
They introduce every character in the first episode, so get ready, listener, because there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, we got every major character. Thankfully, they have very distinct designs, so it's hard to sort of mix them up.
We got that classical harem design where everyone has a completely different hair color.
Yes, they're all very different characters visually, somewhat personality-wise, to have quick distinguishing features, so...
Any Aho Girl fans in the chat? Because this guy, our main character, Asahi, he really likes bananas a lot. He has a toaster that toasts bananas in his house.
He has a banana toaster. He also has like a personal one he like carries around in his pocket.
He has a little container, like a glasses case that he puts a single banana in.
This guy like is obsessed with bananas. He fucking like it is like a flavor that he drinks that shit, man. Like he literally gets like a banana drink from the vending machine.
What the fuck was it called?
It was like my banana is 6 inches.
Sounds great for drinking, I guess. But
on the Temple of Wisdom was written "Know thyself," and Renai Flops knows thyself. It is truly, in every single way, an ecchi harem in its definite core. And Jesus, it just throws everything. You get all your tropes. You get your running into a girl around the corner when the girl also has fucking toast in her mouth
and ends up like sitting on his face or something.
Yeah, you've got the landing in the inconspicuous harem poses of being sat on or being buried in some girl's tits or whatever, or being buried in some girl's crotch, and of course you've got the dude picking up what is clearly some girl's underwear and thinking it is not underwear.
He's like, what is this mysterious handkerchief? He says, holding panties in front of his face.
And truly, if once was not enough, he had to be holding on to some girl's side ties, and then he's holding on to some other girl's bra, and he just carries them around school. Like, he just like they're
like
just,
his pocket.
They're just in his pockets. Like he's just carrying around some girl's bra that was like being worn. And he's just like completely like he just forgets about it. Like it's not really important to him anymore.
There's like a trash collection robot. This is like another weird futuristic anime. I don't know how she lost it, but there's a red hair girl, Amelia. She's got like the flat chest, has the fucking headphones. That's her character.
She's the kitty headphones. Yep.
The robot like picks up her underwear for some reason, like 8 pads fall out of it, and and then when she like comes back to retrieve it, like, the robot like picks her up and it's like
trash detected.
Trash detected, collecting trash. It's like dragging her away. It's like, oh my god.
I did laugh at like the 8 pads falling out. I thought that was a good one. I thought they were gonna play it straight, but no, they like bean bags were falling out.
The show knows its audience. It's like,
oh my god!
They know we've seen everything already.
This is like they have their finger on the pulse, and you know where they're getting their inspiration from. Like they are pulling from the classics. Like they watched like every season of like To Love Ru before writing this. I bet. I mean, you even got this like fucking like cast where all the girls are like different. Like they're from different countries. Because, like, you know, the Mega Neko's obviously, like, she's the Japanese one, but then, like, the teacher's Chinese. Yeah, the androgynous guy is like, Bulgarian or something. And Amelia's a burger. She's American. I think she's a Brit. Literally, we have a blonde Karen in anime before. So, yeah, I mean, you got the cast diversity and then the sequence of getting to school. Truly, they just had to keep trying to top themselves with each fucking encounter, to of course the point where we got to the dog fucking. It wasn't real.
There's
fucking
a gag
guys.
to last for a whole season right there. Can't wait for more of that.
Yeah, okay, so no dog fucking was happening except for the dog like trying to fuck the main character.
Humping a character like on the ground, and it happens like more than once.
Oh my god. Truly
in the same episode.
That is a truly evil dog. That has like a fat bastard smile. Uh, it's just
Oh,
what a
no.
personification. And of course, it would be like the very androgynous girly dude who's getting the dog humping. Like, oh my god! And when I saw that, I did like a spit take. Like I was just like, oh my god, they're really like they are not fucking holding back at all. Like, and they did it, and they did not only once, they did twice in the episode. So that's how you
In the
know.
same episode. So now I'm horrified. Like, how much of a reoccurring thing is this going
Oh
to be?
god. It's so fucking, it was so ridiculous. And then you got all the school shit, and like he has like he has like a kind of like a dude friend who's like he's pretty alright. He's just kind of your average dude friend, just kind of like chilling, and he's like talking about all the girls. He's like feeding him the info, like VN style, like yo, you check out the 5 new girls in our class.
Oh yeah, there's like a bunch of Tokimeki Memorial referencing in this.
Yes, lots of Tokimeki shit going on. Dating sim.
They got the
shit.
fucking giant cherry blossom tree at the end of the episode where it's just waiting for the girl to show up and it ends up being the Mega Neko.
The huge fucking tree that somehow he's never seen before. I mean, gee, for Christ, the banana symbolism is it not dense enough for you? I was surprised when he handed the banana to fucking Karen and she didn't like deep throat it. Like I was that was actually a subversion. Like she just ate it normally. Like I was like, "Oh my god. You're telling me she didn't try to give it like a blowy?" Like
If it wasn't clear by now, I'm definitely gonna. I was like, I have to see the next two.
oh
I'm
my
like, all
god.
right.
See now I have to get to the other thing. Which is like the real bait of the show, which is there's something going on in the background. Well, obviously it starts with like a very weird kind of en media res dream sequence. He's like reaching towards some girl, but he's like in a weird digital space of some sort. There's some shit in the intro. Like he's in this like funny position when he wakes up in bed. Like actually a pretty well-known position that Marty McFly from Back to the Future wakes up just like that in that same position. He has like that digital clock, and when it drops on the ground, the time and date completely changes. When he pulls out his calendar, it's 2 months behind today's date for some reason. Then there's like this shit where like he doesn't know his friend's name for some reason. And also, once again, he somehow didn't know about the giant fucking tree outside of his school. There is some like underbelly to this harem wackiness, and I don't know how they're gonna pull the rug. And that's like the thing I want to know the most. What will happen when they pull it? Are we gonna be?
Hell, what the hell is even gonna happen in the next episode? Like,
Yeah, it's like if it like lifts the curtain, like is it gonna be a different anime at that point, or are they gonna still play it the same? Like I can't even predict what like the weird mystery of this world is that he's living in now. That's super futuristic.
if we got through the first episode and we're like, I wonder what happens. I think that's enough. That's
Yeah.
enough to like get us on episode 2.
I think it helps that I don't dislike the main character, which is surprising because harem protagonists.
Oh yeah,
are-
I didn't even think
are
about that.
notably
He's not even
shit.
bad.
No, he's not. He's actually like pretty reasonable as far as ecchi harem protags go. He's got the classic like stuttering, misconception type reaction, but like his general personality is more grounded and likable than you would get from your average harem lead. So
And the girls are all fine too.
yes,
so it's like,
I do
got
like
decent characters.
I like the character designs. I liked them when I saw them in the preview, and I do like the personalities. They're very vibrant. They're very different. They're very distinct.
Here's the other anime that people have been talking about from this season, understandably. Urusei Yatsura.
Yes, Urusei Yatsura, the 2022 comeback tour.
Lum is like the original waifu character.
Yes,
It's like it all goes back to her, so.
she truly has it all. She's an alien, but she's an Oni alien. She's very provocative. She has powers. She's got that like
Electricity zapping powers.
Got her zappy powers. She can fly. She has like a very exotic quality to her, and that there is that appeal of her being sort of like an outlier.
It's surprising you wouldn't expect like a rom-com kind of thing that's like what 40 years old. You wouldn't expect it to like be able to transition into today very well, but it's like it's perfect. Like it feels like a breath of fresh air.
Once again, like I talked about this, David, they were prepped for this from doing shit like JoJo's and taking those old manga concepts and trying to reinvent them. They had a lot of practice with doing that and like understanding the process of how to recontextualize old works in a modern industry. And I mean, yeah, that's all on display here. I mean, yeah, the visuals are definitely modernized. The visual quality, the colors.
Gorgeous.
Oh, it looks great. Oh, it looks fantastic.
The character designs are amazing.
The character design updates are fantastic. They breathed new life into them without them losing those qualities that made them so distinct in the first place. They are very honorable. They honor those original designs. They're faithful to the design philosophy that was going on. They're clearly taking the important beats from the original work and bringing them in, and they did a great job. It has all that like hard slapstick, like in your face and like funny like romance sexuality kind of like, you don't get a lot of Otarus in this day and age, like playboy type who's just like a total lecherous, like I want to like kiss every girl I see on the street, like every hot girl I see, kind of like unfaithful moron character. These distinct characters, they were beloved for a reason, and they are rechanneling that, and they really have not lost that spark that makes them so distinct in that respect. I thought yeah, they went through those like first few chapters of the manga, and I thought they did a fantastic job. It just looked great. It was funny. It was expressive. They went for those like classic facial expressions. Like you could feel, like you saw like the facial expressions, and those are like very vintage looking, like kind of expressions. Like those aren't like very modern, but they are still modern in the art sense because of how the art style is updated. It still feels fresh, but it's still pulling those classic like elements in and recycling them, and it spits out this thing that it's got a resemblance of the original work, but it's still like its own take on it. But it doesn't forsake the capstones, the things that make the work good.
There's like teeny little details where it's like he's got like a little smartphone, but he still uses like the landline telephone to like call Shinobu.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because I mean the opening was crazy. I thought the opening was great. It was really eye catching. I did like all the weird like anachronistic like modern stuff in it with like the smartphone and like and that like very 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 well animated dance sequence. Very very eye catching, very colorful. But yeah, like the anachronism sort of being there in the background, but he still adheres to the 80s, like, yeah, rotary phone and like old tech, low tech shit. Just like everyone just kind of pretends it doesn't exist. That's pretty tongue in cheek. I like that.
I'm sure there's some viewers who haven't seen this yet who are like, "Oh, he has a smartphone. Ew." It's like, no, don't worry. It doesn't like distract from any of the good stuff in this show.
Yeah, it doesn't even really like exist.
It's very well like.
There's almost humor in the concept of him still using a fucking landline. Like it's good. I like it a lot. It was really fun.
It's
really
got
enjoyable.
good comedy too. I was laughing pretty hard when he was trying to call Shinobu, and like Loom was like interfering, and somehow this formed a triangle which caused a black hole that was sucking helicopters in.
Yeah, the love triangle.
They just like act like it isn't even that big of a deal. They're like, yeah, you guys are causing problems. There's a black hole because of you guys.
Yeah, I love that classic the classic dynamic with Artaru and his parents, where his dad like roots for him, but his mom is like, I wish I never gave birth to you, you fucking moron. You got characters hitting other characters in the head with like electrical poles and shit. It's classic.
Clear pass.
That's a pass. That's a pass.
There's no way this thing is getting failed for like the rest of the first core, because this is gonna have like 50 episodes, so obviously we're not gonna wait until then to be like and then finally we are here for the last one, the Little Lies We All Tell, which was coincidentally the first one that we talked about in episode 0, and it is now the last one in airing order.
Yes, and we just watched this today, so it's fresh. It's the freshest in our mind right now.
I was This was the one I was praying for. I was like, if one of these anime from the season are going to be good, I'm hoping it's this one. And now, to be fair, we've gotten to the point where we have multiple good shows this season, so I'm no longer, like, hanging on to dear life off of this show, which is good because this is definitely a strange hit or miss kind of comedy.
It is all around very interesting. The way it's conducting itself.
Basically, the selling point here, like, you got a diverse little group of characters. There's no real, like, main character, although it's clearly the Mega Neko.
Yes, it absolutely is her, because yeah, she is like, she's the one who's truly, once again, it's that Anya Spy X Family shit where it's like the mind reader is able to be the narrator because they're the one who truly knows what's going on, kind of deal.
Everyone has their own little gimmick. Sekine can read minds. Chio is a ninja. Rika is an alien from outer space, and her UFO is like stuck in the side of their school.
Yeah, and just no one can see it, I guess.
Tsuyoshi is a guy who is dressed as a girl because his sister made him do this.
Yeah, because she's like a K-pop.
His twin sister.
I mean, she's like a K-pop fan, so they'll do anything to be freaks or whatever, you know. Like, I think that was it was like some boys idol thing where he's like the boy idol dude was going to his school and she was like, I want to fucking slobber that boy idol, but I need to go to your school to do it. And it's funny because yeah, like Tsuyoshi is like absolutely like the most normal person of this group, like truly the most grounded.
He's our straight man for the comedy here.
Yes, absolutely, because yeah, he's the one who's in the most like common sense zone of anyone, because he is just, the cross-dressing thing isn't really weird in comparison to alien, ninja, and mind reader, like psychic. Like, he is like actually just normal. He's the only truly normal person of the group.
They all feel like the odd one out except for the mind reader who knows. Oh, that's right. Except she doesn't know what's wrong with Tsuyoshi because she can only read girls' minds.
Yeah,
that's a funny gag.
Yeah, he can't read. Yeah, she can't read his mind, and she doesn't know why, but we know why as the viewer, because we know that he's a guy. So she can't understand his male mind, I guess.
It is just a pure like gag comedy.
It is. It's got the fucking like Kaguya-sama style narrator in it too.
But now we are down to the gags, and we have to wonder about two things: like what is the quality of the gags here, and how often, like what's gonna get repeated over and over again. So you're like, are they gonna keep it fresh? Are they gonna start repeating? Are they gonna get stuck on loop? I don't know, but they did hit us with the fart jokes in episode 1.
I mean, if you're gonna get the lowbrow humor out of the way, getting it out of the way early is usually the good bet. I didn't know how they were going to pay it off, but I will say I did laugh that she farted chlorine in some dude's face and he died.
It was the ninja guy.
Yeah, it was the fucking
like
it was the dude.
Guy.
The dude who's trying to assassinate Chio.
I don't know what he was doing going to the girls' bathroom in the first place in a girls' school. He probably deserved it.
He did deserve it, and yeah, he got chlorined to the face and died instantly. Well, I can only imagine. So that was a better payoff than I would have expected from a gag that immediately puts the fart into the equation.
This is a very silly, goofy show.
It is. I felt like it. Like I mentioned, like Kill Me Baby vibes when I talked about it in the preview, and it does have that kind of manic humor, except dialed down a little bit. I did like the fucking the stick up. The last gag sequence where she thought one of her friends, the alien girl, thought one of her friends was like a spy and had to like test them on like stupidly specific questions about the Earth that like no normal person would know.
That was a good one because she's like asked the mind reader like a super complicated question and the mind reader just immediately spits it out.
Yeah.
And she asked the ninja girl like, what's the shape of the Earth? And she's like, a triangle.
I just love that the ninja girl's just like a total moron, like just like 1 IQ, like complete stupidity beyond words.
I gotta give it a couple more episodes, so I'm gonna have to pass this one because it's like I gotta see, are they gonna keep it fresh for 2 more episodes?
Yeah, I want to see how they build on it because even when I wasn't sure if the payoff was gonna be worth it, some of the punchlines did land for me, and I thought that was enough. And I like the characters; they're good. They have quirks, and I generally enjoy the cast chemistry and the balance here that they have. Yeah, it's just a matter of how are they gonna like keep the ball going, and then the next 2 episodes are gonna kind of be the answer to that question, I think.
Oh yeah, and I almost forgot about an anime. So yeah, Chainsaw Man aired this season, and yeah, it's a fail. Sorry guys.